Today I'm going to try to draw this plant in Tbilisi, Georgia. I don't know what it is. I'm sure I've written it somewhere in the title or description by now, but for now, I just wanted to get right into this without any research. Okay, research is not the right word. I'm sure it would have taken me all of 5 seconds to figure it out, but that's not the point. The point is to draw it. So let's do that. If you're new here, I'm learning to draw. Operative word learning, and I'm traveling the world while I'm at it. I think that makes for interesting content. Disgusting word, sorry, but that's probably what this is. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to stick around. Okay, so choosing this to draw among all the other somethings I could have chosen probably seems strange, and it is, but also it isn't. First, the latter. It isn't strange because in this area that I found myself today, there wasn't much going on. Sometimes the light, or lack thereof, makes everything around me just lifeless. So maybe on a nice day, I would have found something big and beautiful and some other B word, but alas. And then it is strange because look at it. It's, it's weird. But I seldom draw this kind of thing, which is a flaw of mine. I'm always seeking out those B word things, and sometimes that gets me into trouble. Never mind. I mean that searching for only the big and beautiful stuff often means that I have a hard time drawing it. Whatever. You know what I mean. So I'm actually glad I chose something small today, something I could really sink my teeth into. Before I started, in my pocket sketchbook, which I love to mention, I dedicated a lot of space to these little flowers. It took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do with them. The first attempt was very specific, very intricate, and while I think it turned out looking okay, it wasn't a sustainable approach. It took me like 6 minutes to draw just that one. The next thing was much less precise and relied heavily on more of a gestury, flowing sort of approach. I think that could have been nice, but I don't have the chops for that, so it got messy quick, and I'm sure it would have been a lot worse when it came time to sit down and do it for real. So I scrapped that one too. Then I sort of mixed the two and started drawing them just over and over again while I recorded the reference video, and that gave me a feel for the general structure of the flower. And as you can see, save for a few, they're all pretty much the same. And that one felt good. So I worked my way around the entire plant, testing out slight variations, and it clicked. I was still concerned about the ultimate cohesion of all of the disparate parts, each flower, but whatever, I'd cross that bridge eventually. So I replicated that method for the real drawing, in air quotes, and I think the delicate nature of the flowers really shines through. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, but then I had to cross that bridge. Eventually happened to be right around the corner, and I hadn't planned for any of the overlap or the stems or the background in my pocket sketchbook. So that was all stuff to be figured out on the fly. So the stems were straightforward enough, and I started to include those as soon as I had an idea of how I was managing things, like how I was getting along. And the background, I decided to wholly ignore. I didn't think I'd be able to do anything with it that would be additive, and I would have rushed through it anyway. I just know it. But that left me with the overlap, which does involve some of the stems. And for a really long time, the majority of the drawing, I tried to push it away. I didn't want to think about it while I filled out most of the flowers because my prime motive was to get those shapes on the paper, and I could worry about what might be behind them in a minute. But that time was rushing toward me. So I made the decision in what felt like a split second to draw the flowers behind as these vague little orbs. My thinking was that the stuff up front would have the most detail, which I guess is true, but it didn't cross my mind until the Uber ride home that the inner section of the plant would be its darkest. The flowers underneath and in between may not have the most detail, but they would be in shadow. My orbs are just empty white space, and that, I think, pulls them forward in the drawing. it puts them on the same plane as everything else, which hilariously does not solve my overlap problem. On that note, similarly, this whole concept of overlap or depth or separation is a funny one. At the end of the day, especially in pen, although I'm sure it's true to some extent across the board, when I make a mark, it's there. It's a mark on the page. It's not exactly 0 or 100. There's a tiny bit of leeway, but it's close. So when the rest of the drawing is full of these delicate, airy, lightly sketched flowers, I have a hard time figuring out how to create that illusion of separation when things are right on top of each other and I can't really change the line weight. So maybe I could have darkened the inner areas significantly, like I said, but I'm really not sure. So if you have any tips, please let me know. In the video, it looks really flat, like in the reference video, like there isn't any depth, but there's still that overlap at least, and I'm really interested to know how I should approach it. Cool. This one was a lot of fun. I've said it a few times in the past, but anytime I get to sit in a quiet, peaceful area to draw, ideally in nature, I have a really nice time. But also, the drawing, I like it a lot. It's definitely an outlier among the rest of mine, and I think that's great. Candidly, I expected much, much less of this, so I'm pretty excited that it turned out the way that it did. Needless to say, still plenty of work to do. You've heard me say it before, but if I can think of this as like a harbinger of what's to come with regard to botanical stuff, at least stylistically, I'm happy. So what do you think? Let me know, along with any tips on the whole separation thing if you have them. And if you like the video, like it, obviously, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the series. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. Please fix that. Just do it. Anyway, I really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one and to listen to me talk about it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.